Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I'm starting off with the colouring in this one. I'm doing things a little bit differently, and I have used my Brother Scan and Cut to cut out as close to the edge of a stamped image. This is the Mama Elephant's little witch agenda, and I've just grabbed a couple of the little witches, and they are so cute, but they are so tiny. So I did not want to cut these out by hand. I was thinking I was going to do a bit of masking on this card, but actually they were so small, I just thought I'm just going to get them cut out that way. If you have the dies, obviously you can do that too. I probably need to calibrate my machine a little bit because it's a little off, but nothing major, and I didn't want to waste them, so I'm going to use them, and they look fabulous in the end. So I'm using just a couple of colours because, like I say, they are really tiny images. So just a couple of colours of Copic markers, alcohol markers, whatever brand you've got, or however you want to colour them in. Just a couple of colours when there are bigger areas to blend. So like her hat and her outfit, and her face, their skin. Yes, I made this skin green, so I thought, why not? And yeah, and then some of the areas like her hair and the broom, I just use one colour. It's so tiny, guys. I mean, you can see the size of the thing compared to my finger, so my hands are not particularly big, but it's just like they're tiny images. So yeah, so, and then I also, in the background, I coloured it in with a really pale grey. I actually go back to that, and I will show you that later on, but I do go back and actually change that colour in the background to like I think I use an ultramarine colour of Copic, because the background turns out to be more of that tone of colour, and that way they blend in. So the bits that are sort of like in the background where it didn't cut out, because it cut around the edges of the whole image, there are little bits in the back that would be the background. I then go back with the ultramarine, and then also the edges where it didn't quite cut on the line. I then use the same thing around there. I like this style of cutting as well. Tim Holtz, a lot of his dies, or I believe all his dies, if there's a stamp and a die set, they usually cut right on the line, and I actually really like that look. I feel like it, especially if you're doing like a collage or something, it's sort of, you can get it to blend in rather than having a white border. Having said that, I do like the white borders that you get with stamp sets, and normally dies that that are normally with stamp sets, normally that's what I would do even on my scan and cut. So it's whatever works for you. So what I did here is, this is a piece of textured cardstock, and it's 6 by 8, I believe, and scored at 3. It could have been a little bit shorter than 8, but it's fine, it worked out fine. It's a thinner cardstock, so whenever you have a thinner cardstock, you could always, this works two ways for this card. One is the base of the card is black, so I'm adding a white panel to the inside, just a 1/4 of an inch smaller. The second thing that works for this is it stabilizes the card, so it's a bit more sturdy when it stands up. So it works if you've got thinner cardstock, but it's and you really want to use it, but just add an extra panel on the inside and one on the outside when you're putting your main image together, and that way it'll just make it nice and sturdy for you. So this is the postcard. It's the Slim City. I'm losing the plot today. Basically it's one of the Mama Elephant Slim, I'm sure it's Slim City or something like that, Cityscape. Again, it'll be below the video, and it's got like a postcard, a Slimline postcard look, stamp look, if that makes any sense. And so I cut that out in white cardstock. It's this Crafter's Companion stamping card, and I really like this card. It's really quite nice for this sort of thing. I'm quite pleased so far. Never used it before, and well, on the last card, but not, anyway, waffle. And I also, what I did was, when I cut the Cityscape out, out of black cardstock, I then went back and used the same postage stamp style die, so the one that cuts this one out, and I went back and lined it up on the edge so that basically the Cityscape will line up with the edge of the bottom edge of this panel, so it all matches and I don't have to fiddle to get it to fit. So you'll see that later on. So I used some Blueprint Sketch and some Wilted Violet Distress Inks to blend, and then I just spritzed with some water with a distress sprayer. When do I not? And I think I say that in every video as well, just, you know, anyway. And then I used my heat tool just to try and dry it off because I wanted to get this done because I'd been making a few videos. Drying time's probably the hardest bit because you have to wait and I hate waiting. So yeah, that's probably the worst bit of any of that kind of thing. Anyway, there's the Ultramarine that I went back in because it toned in better with that background, as you'll see later on as well. And then I'm using some VersaMark ink and some embossing powder by Nuvo in a lilac colour and stamping a sentiment from MFT's Frightfully Sweet, I think it's called, stamp set from a few years ago. And just heat setting that with my Ranger heated tool. Heated up. It takes a bit longer with this tool, but it's the same heat that you would have in a normal heat gun. It was right next to me, so I used it. And then I'm just using my paper trimmer to trim that down in just a block. You know, simple. You could cut it out with a pair of scissors. That would work too. You can use a die if you have one. If you don't have any of that, just use a pair of scissors. That's probably the easiest way, and it will still look great. So yeah, so I have my little sentiment block, and then I'm gonna start to put this together. I also used some Perfect Pearls, Ranger Perfect Pearls in Perfect Pearl, and spritzed that bottle's been in about 1 million videos. So it's probably the only one who doesn't clog, but anyway, and I used it's always got Perfect Pearls in there, and I just spritz it over the back of the whole background. So one, it gives a bit more texture because there's more moisture to a distress ink, which we all know reacts. Even if it's dry, it will react again. It always reacts. But also it gave it this lovely shimmer, which is so beautiful. And then the Cityscape is what I've put on there, and because I used that same die, I then could line up really nicely at the bottom. So it's got that same edge all the way around. Something I was going to do and totally forgot is put my moon on. So this moon, again, is one I've had in my stash for many years, and I've used it on many things. It's just a bit of masking paper, and I used a circle die. You can, again, hand cut it. It works. And I needed my moon on there, and I totally forgot. So I took some white pigment ink and just went around the edges of my moon shape. This should have happened beforehand, but it didn't. But I was really chuffed. This was a very happy accident, and although I liked how it looked when I took the mask off, I actually wanted more of that moon sort of filled in. So I filled in with some more of the white pigment ink. That spongy thing is just a makeup sponge. It's one of those egg shaped or whatever they call, teardrop shape makeup sponge things, blending sponge, I don't know what they're called. Anyway, and I just used one of those, and then I realized that obviously I'd got some on the top of the building, and then I thought, well, actually there'd be moonshine coming down, or moonlight I should say, coming down onto some of the buildings, so I just added a bit on there just for extra something. And then I'm going to add the sentiment on and my little witches and get this put together. It's that simple. So there's nothing testing about this at all. This is a really easy card. Anybody can do it. I always say that anyway. Anybody can create. But I really love how this turned out. It turns out to be a smaller slimline than sort of a standard size, but I still love it. It's a lovely little slimline. On the back of the panel, I'm going to add some this is 3M foam tape, but you could use any foam tape on the back, or just stick it flat to the card. That would work too. I like this tape. I just it doesn't seem to stick that well. Like, it's good, but I have to kind of burnish it at the back like this with a pair of scissors or a bone folder or something, just to get it to almost like adhere to the base, the panel, and then it seems to stick to the card base. And yeah, it's just a bit bizarre, but I really like it. The backing comes off super easy, which I love, because I hate stickling with blinking backings on tape and stuff. And then if you saw my last video, you'll know that these are the let me get this right, Little Things by Lucy's Cards. She does all these fabulous little doodads and things. You've probably seen them in my videos anyway before, but these little itty bitty stars, that's what they're called. These are the clear iridescent, I can't talk. And they are so cute. And like, say, if you saw my last video, the one before this, which is a Christmas themed card, you'll see that I'm using them on this and the Christmas themed one, and they work. One, those stars, so stars and hearts, those are sort of things that you can use on just about anything. And because they're clear, these happen to be iridescent, but if you get like a clear or like a one that looks like it's slightly opaque or something like that, you can use them with just about anything, because they'll work, because the color that they are, especially like an iridescent, it's got that sort of almost like a mother of pearl look when you sort of flick it in the light, when you turn it in the light. So I was just checking to see if I needed to add any more, and I just needed one more that I wanted to put on there, which is what I'll do now. And then I will show you sort of more close up, and hopefully you'll catch the shimmer in the background, as well as the iridescence of these little stars. And look how shiny they are. And the iridescence is from the Perfect Pearls again. Sorry I didn't film it, I just wanted to, I totally forgot to, I think, on camera. And that's it, guys. Just a very simple slimline card, but it's also not necessarily Halloweeny. I mean, I know it is because it's got a little witch and all that in there, and it says witching you, but it's talking about the best day ever. So if you have someone who has an October birthday, this could work too, or you just want to send them something nice. So I hope you've enjoyed this, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.